the Office of the Small Business Commissioner, or the OSBC, have got together and come up with this idea of a fair payment code. And the reason that this organisation is brought about is the problem that small and micro entities face when they're dealing with much larger companies and how they get paid. And it's a huge problem. A lot of the time in the construction world, where you've got sort of man in his van, they've got 2 or 3 guys and they're working on some contract for a much, much larger firm up the supply chain, and they're going to take an awful long time to pay them. This can lead into sort of 60 days, 90 days we hear. But it's not only that, it's the problems that they have getting paid. The comments that we get from these business owners is that when they approach the companies with the problems, they go to a different department. They're difficult about how they fill in their paperwork, about getting purchase order numbers, things that very small businesses probably find difficult. And these bigger companies, they don't seem to be helpful. Now, there's all sorts of reasons, and I'm sure people have got their views on why this is, but this fair payment scheme has really been put out there to try and really, companies that sign up for it, they fly the flag to say, look, we are supporting small businesses, we listen, we understand, we're going to pay fairly, we're going to pay you on time. But some of the really interesting statistics on this, which has driven this, which is really quite astounding here, 38 companies go bust every day because of late payments, which is, if you start looking at that and the amount of knock-on effect that has to people that are employed, to the supply chain, to the exchequer, I mean, that's considerable. But if you look at some of the figures that this scheme is trying to tackle, an average business is spending 86 hours on trying to collect invoice monies in. All of that time, all of that effort. And that amounts to a whopping £11 billion a year. So you can see why it really is worth sort of trying to tackle this problem. Whether or not it'll work or not, it will be seen, but it's good that the government are noticing this, and that they're putting something into play to really help those small businesses out there. My fear is the compatibility. Even if the larger companies are trying to get onto that level with the smaller businesses, the reality is, just defending the smaller companies and organizations for a while, how technical the processes are and how complex the processes are, to try and break that down, to just be able to ring an individual and sort of make that payment on that day. It's not that easy. They have to have these complicated systems in place. But I hope that something like this will move towards making it easier for small business owners out there who do rely on cash more so than some of the bigger companies. They, without these payments, often it's the only job that they're doing for that month is for this person. So it's really interesting. But today I just wanted to share what I think are the top 3 tips for keeping a check on chasing your invoices. So number 1 is be clear and consistent with your communication. So make sure that an invoice goes out to your supplier, it's uniform, it's familiar, it is laid out in exactly the same way, that you send it on the same emails, you send it to the same people, and that after that, if the payments aren't coming in, that you have a very familiar process with how you follow that up, with certain reminders on certain days that go out. And that consistency of communication really does get that message out there to that person that you owe the money, rather than it being sporadic. The invoices go out on different days of every month, or a different person is sending the emails. Keep it consistent, keep it tight, and that message will then hit home. Number 2 is make it easy for people to pay. Because it's a great excuse. I haven't got your bank details, or years gone by, the check's gone missing in the post. So make it easy for your customers to pay you. So how do we go about that? So now we can go out there with email actual specific payment links. You can put your bank details out there. There's any number of ways that we can sort of make it a lot easier for these people to be able to pay us, so they don't A, have an excuse not to, and B, is generally more convenient for them to do so. And number 3 is escalate problems quickly and firmly. So by that, what I mean is have a process already laid out. What happens? Well, if we've got 30 days on an invoice and it's gone over by a day, it triggers email 1. If that isn't responded to within 5 days, it triggers email 2, then on to letter 3. Then at a certain point, we then have, if it's not an in-house team, we have an outsourced team of debt recovery where we can look to escalate this through and push it through court if needs be. But it's really important that rather than leaving these things, it's a bit of an uncomfortable subject for a lot of people as well, but it's important to have this process lined out. You'll know exactly what to do then. And sometimes the threat of these things, the threat of the court action, the threat of the wording of these letters as they get more severe, will prompt people into making the payment.